So, from a retail side of things, staff are feeling the brunt of COVID. You're talking about reps just not showing up sometimes for work, or this really low lift or low staffing model. Retailers are forced to shut down and lay a bunch of folks off. I think, we had one of our customers, they had to lay off 90% of their staff, which was, so they really just had their bare bones head office staff working, and that was it. All their stores had closed. Thinking of yourself in leading one of the senior leaders at IQ Metrics, and also a lot of your dealers or a lot of your customers, what do you think makes or breaks a leader in times like this?
Yeah, I don't think anyone in a leadership position could have ever prepared themselves for this.
Yeah.
It's not anything we've ever, learned in any school or in reading books. This just, is really new to everyone. I personally think transparency right now is what will make or break a leader, and really kind of be the catalyst to how, teams function now and going forward. I think, sharing things with your team so that they understand why decisions are being made. I mean, you shared an example of someone having to lay off so many people. I've seen similar examples with many retailers. I don't think anyone would ever argue that that was an easy thing to do. That must have been one of the absolute hardest things that a retailer or any business owner would be able to go through. So, I think sharing, whether it's, things you're doing, are you cutting back spending, sharing with your staff that, you're applying for government subsidy or assistance programs. If you are, your people should know that regardless of the outcome, you're trying to do everything you can to keep the business in a good, safe place. I think people need to see leaders doing everything they can to take care of their staff. And, before you have to make hard decisions, I think just being transparent with your staff in collaborating on options, on what can be done. So, before you jump to doing the decision, maybe throw it out to the team on, well, here's what we're faced with. Here are the realities of where we're at. Now, what do you think we should do with all of this information? And then I'm never going to try to imply this would be an easy thing. Because like I said, if you are forced into laying off, I think we have to consider that things are going to turn around, and these are going to be the people you're going to likely need to rely on in the future when your stores start opening. So as much as you can paint the right picture for, why this had to happen or how important it will be for you to keep lines of communication open for the future, and over the top empathy, because, that workforce and scheduling and, good people, that's who you're going to need to have come back to you when things turn around. So the more transparent you can be, honestly, the better I think it can help you right now.
Has your leadership style changed in the last 3-4 weeks, or have you taken what you were doing well before and just kind of exploited that a bit more?
No, I think it totally has changed. So, I've really embraced the transparency side. So, I think I have a couple good examples where I think historically we would have taken a topic, our executive team, we would have gone away, we would have made a decision, and we would have brought it back to the teams to execute. Now I am bringing it to the teams first. Does this make sense? What do you think? What do we need to consider? What should we, not do right out of the gates? And I have never seen our team collaborate as good as they're collaborating right now. So we measure our engagement every single month, how engaged our staff are across many different things. In the month of March, we had the highest engagement we've had in the history of our company. And I find that to be absolutely phenomenal given, what we're going through as a world. So, I've totally changed my leadership style to, transparent, collaborative, way of approaching any topic, small or large. And I think it's also really pushed me to fast track trust in people. I have phenomenal people on my team. I've always thought they were phenomenal. And I feel more and more comfortable every day just saying, you go figure that out. You come up with the plan, strategy,
Yep.
everything, and this is going to be your thing, and I trust you to do it. So, I think it's growing. I'm seeing people grow into really great leaders through all of this. It's been really nice.
Yeah, and I think trust and transparency kind of go hand in hand. Without trust, you're not going to be as transparent with your team. I think that's something everybody can probably learn throughout this process is, you're hiring these people for a reason. You think they're rock stars or they're kick-ass folks. So I think that's imperative that if you have that trust and you believe them, let them be part of the solution. I think we saw that a ton at Statflo in the first couple weeks where it was all hands on deck, having our customer success or account management folks really starting to think through, this is what Statflo looked like 3 weeks ago. This is where we need to shift it to help our customers. And a lot similar to probably you, a lot of our customers are leaning on us saying, hey, how do we manage to get through this? What are your best practices?
Yep.
And the team stepped up dramatically with shifting of what are those outreach campaigns to our customers? How do we effectively manage curbside pickup and appointment booking, all that stuff? I think that's people are smart when they're empowered to do a lot of stuff. It's incredible what they've done. So I think that
Yeah, that's
to me
awesome.
is I would say that is for me that's the one thing I've taken away from this as well is trust in your team. You've hired them for a reason, and you can be as transparent as possible and let them start to figure out some of the issues versus a few talking heads at the top saying, no, this is what we should do.
Very well said. I couldn't agree more.
That's cool. So, I think IQ isn't necessarily in the same position as a lot of your customers or our customers. How do you think your customers regain the trust of their team after they recover from this? If they've had to lay off a whack of people, how do you think they regain the trust of those people or brand new ones?
Yeah, I think there is some low hanging fruit. I think there's some people who are just naturally going to feel still uncomfortable coming back into a retail space. So I think there's some low hanging fruit that everyone can, do to adapt their stores, to have a higher standard that COVID has so quickly made us learn on, cleanliness, having hand sanitizer available at all times. So I think just making, the stores a place that people feel safe coming back to is an absolute must, first step for everybody. I think, for people to gain in trust going forward, again, I think that's where transparency from leadership comes in. If something like this were to happen again, we are going to do everything in our power to keep the business afloat. Here's what we did. Here's what we would do going forward. So I think sharing, things they learned from all of this and even things they'd potentially do different. I think that's going to be important to people. People want to work for someone where they feel like that company has their back, no matter how big the company is. So, I think making sure people understand that, you're there not just to run a business, but also to, make them have a successful career will be really important.
So I'm going to close off with two final questions. One is, if you're to give any of your customers three pieces of advice to either weather this storm or think about how do they come out on top in the next couple months, 6 months, however long this takes to get out, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. I think number one, I would say, don't assume we're going back to, how things were, and embrace the technologies you need to make sure that you offer what the consumers are going to expect going forward. And you don't have the luxury of waiting anymore. Those are things that really have to happen right now. And you kind of have to embrace this quiet time to get ready for the future. So I would say that. I would say we're going to likely see a huge shift in how we retain and attract staff. And again, I think we're going to have to be really creative on that because, we're in, uncharted territory there. So I think planning for, workforce optimization and recruitment is going to be a really big deal. And then the third, I'll just say it again, is, lean on the industry to help you do this. People don't have to work in a silo. Everything's gone virtual right now, so we're not in a spot to all be getting together and talking through this in person. So, call up your other dealer friends and, call up Statflo or IQ or whoever you need. I think amongst us, we all have a lot of wireless retail experience, and any of us are going to be up to have a chat and, talk through anything, anytime anyone wants. So I think we have to, let our wireless community kind of step up right now and help each other.
You've been in leadership role for some time now. What are the three things that you would recommend that leaders really need to take to heart as we get through this and get out on the other side? Either learnings that you've had or just things you've noticed from others that would really help leaders set them up for success in the future?
I would say empathy is always something I'm very big on. I've learned so much. If you take the business out of it and you take, IQ metrics or wireless out of the picture, I've never learned so much about what people's just personal lives have going on that something like this can really, change. I think, we've put, a lot of people up to have super, it's been very easy for them to just shift to working from home and, nothing changes. And then I think there's other people that I've never considered how much disruption to their life this will be. They've got little kids that can no longer go to school. They have, to balance all of that plus do their job. I've never really considered how much they have on their plate. So I think, being empathetic to any single person and what they have going on, and being flexible and adaptable to it. So not just, understanding how much they have, but actually trying to help them, figure out how this new, world works for them. So, we've done things like be flexible with your hours or, bring your kids to meetings. That's fine too. So it doesn't matter what the example is. I think, being empathetic to, the people on your team and then being really flexible to, embracing whatever they need to be successful, is a really, really big thing. Sorry, that was a really long answer for point number one.
No, I'm good on that.
I think the second thing I would say is giving people a chance. I have just been nonstop impressed over the last few weeks over the creativity I've also seen with our staff. And it makes me wish if I could go back, for the last several years, I would have done so many things differently, instead of how I approached it, I would have, given other people the opportunity to do it and then, see them thrive. So I wish I would have given more people more chances over the years to take a first stab at something, because I think they can do it better than me a lot of times, which I think is amazing. And then, the third thing I think would be just showing appreciation to. I couldn't thank our team and all the members at IQ, but especially on my team, I just couldn't thank them enough right now. They're just so impressive in every single thing that they're doing. And I'm still trying to figure out, the right way to, show, how much I am impressed or how much impact they're bringing. It's still something I'm trying to navigate is how do we share the wins and how do we give the right acknowledgement, whether to an individual or a team. But there's a lot of it to be given right now. So if you have an answer to that, I'd love to know it. But I'm trying to figure that one out myself. But I think it's really important.
You know what? I think for us, we use Slack for a lot of communications. I don't think we use it as effective as we should, but we've set up a channel in Slack called Praise. And so it's almost giving shout outs to specific things, whether it's, hey, you've gone above and beyond, or just keep at it, you're kicking ass. So I think that's what we've started using, just so especially with everybody working remote, it's tough to do celebrations and all that. So a lot of people have started to step up and use praise for just day-to-day activities that have really helped the company move forward.
Great idea.
So that's all the questions I have. Do you have anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I just really want to encourage retailers to, see beyond current state of whatever could be going poorly right now. And there's some exciting things that we can do so that we can kind of, form this new, whatever the new norm of wireless retail is going to be. It's going to take all of us together, and I think it can be an exciting thing, and we are now likely at a stage where we have to start planning for that exciting stuff, not strictly focused on current state. So I'm personally quite excited about, where we're gonna take this.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting next few months as people start to come out of their shells and really start to come back to somewhat of a normal state, or whatever the new normal is. Final piece, where can our listeners find you if they want to connect?
Find me on LinkedIn, and happy to chat with anyone there. All of our information is on LinkedIn, on our IQ Metrics website. And I'll just throw it out there one last time is, you don't have to be calling us for a reason as it relates to our products. Any question about wireless retail, or, what we're seeing others do, or friends and carriers, if you just want to have a conversation about, wireless retail in general, just reach out. We'd love to talk about it.
That's a great idea. The helping hand in this kind of time frame is amazing. Stacy, thanks for being on this.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it.